Hi there, everyone. My name is Eric Richards, and I run a real estate brokerage in Colorado Springs called Springs Houses Online Realty. I want to fill you in on what's been happening in the last couple months here in our market in Colorado Springs. So let's get into the data and see where we ended up at for the month of February as compared to previous Februaries, as well as January and December, looking back just a couple of months. I know that everyone is super anxious to see what the rising interest rates are doing, as well as the uncertainty that has been created by a quote unquote looming depression. So numbers right away. Average sales price. When we take a look at the average sales price, we are blending everything from $1 up to $10 million. Some people like to report median sales price. You know, if you look at the sales as bars on a bar chart and you think, okay, there's a lot more frequency at 500,000 or 700,000, but there's a lot of low end sales that help bring the average down. I think both numbers are helpful. Average sales price just says this is about what our market sells for. Median, however, says this is the bulk of the activity. So hopefully that helps parse it out in your mind. We saw a 2.8% reduction year over year in average sales price. Median sales price fell 6.4%. So what that simply means is there's a lot more activity at the lower price range. And that is completely understandable because of rising interest rates. Remember, every quarter of a point that you borrow, if you go from 4% to 4.25%, you're basically incurring another $50 a month. And so when we talk about rates that were at 3.5% a year ago at this time, and now we're up somewhere between 6 to 6.5%, depending on loan program, FHA, VA, conventional, you see there's a huge impact on that. So people got pushed down in their price range, and sellers had to adjust accordingly, meaning more homes at that price range were sold. With builders being a large percentage of our inventory right now, they were representing a pretty active segment in the average sales price conversation. So they were selling a lot of homes 600 and up. Now their activity is greatly reduced. I get emails daily from some of the top volume builders in Colorado Springs advertising spec builds or things that they have just started without a contract from a buyer. And they are hoping that with lucrative offers of financing, some design center spiffs, some just concession dollars in general, that they are going to be able to lure people in to continue to sell their homes. So keep that in mind. As their activity goes down, of course, the average sales price will drop. And then that median number, meaning the median sales price, will rise as a result of their activity going down. Let's talk about under contracts. This is always an interesting number to me because it says this is what the buyer is willing to do, not necessarily consummate the deal where you have the sale or the recorded close transaction. That number is down 16% compared to 2019. So take a look at this chart. You'll see that it rises to about 1895 total listings, 2185 total under contracts in 2020, then down to 2180 in 2021, drops a little bit in 2022 to 2073, and then it drops all the way down. Again, this is February of 2023 to 1592. I kind of wish this chart went back further to give you an indication of when was the last time we had a February where we fell below, say, 1,600 under contracts in that month. Speaking of things going under contract, let's talk about the percentage of homes in a $100,000 bracket that had to negotiate in order to close their home. Take a look at this chart with me. You'll see from 0 to 200,000 that 33% of the homes had to negotiate their prices down about 7%. The $200,000 to $300,000 price bracket, we saw sellers having to negotiate about 4.9% of their price in order to get it sold. And then it trends down from there, going to 34.6, 24, but scroll all the way over to $1 million to $2 million. I've said this before. The $1 million price range is a canary in the coal mines for the health of the market. You know, the percentage that had to take a price reduction, 8.6%, and they only had to come down about 3.3% in their sales price. So that dramatic reduction of the number of reductions, the percentage of reduction they had to take, going from you see 24, 22.5, 24, 25, and then down to 8, tells me that market is still really healthy. I think that's because a lot of the sales that occur at that price range are cash transactions or very large down payments. So interest rates don't play as much of a role in that decision-making process to buy a home at that price range. Let's talk about housing statistics from a residential home sales standpoint. You'll see that there are 2 categories here. We're going to ignore the condos and townhomes for now and just talk about single family. Take a look back to February of 2021. You'll see that number of 981 total sales. Then forward over to November of 2022, you will see that that number fell below 1,000. I think that's important to point out. Not only does this chart reflect seasonality, but it also reflects the idea that we just have less sales occurring in our market. And that shouldn't be too much of a surprise to you when you couple that with the rising interest rates, uncertainty in the market, the news being doom and gloom. So put it all in perspective when you start to think about this chart. I don't think this chart is scary from that standpoint. Lastly, let's talk about days on market. This is always the whataboutism that I hear when I try and put all these facts into perspective. Believe it or not, when I'm on listing appointments or showing appointments with buyers, this is what you get. I'm very analytical. I'm very passionate about trying to explain things with a transparency that brings a certain focus to things. What if we're going to jump off this cliff? I'll offer a counterpoint. In February of 2022, we had time on market of 13 days. Remember, it was pandemonium. Multiple offers, low interest rates. Everyone wanted a home. We had to waive appraisals. We had to waive inspections. We just had to make these audacious offers in order to get accepted. Now we're at 54 days on market. That's a 400% increase in the amount of days on market that a home will stick around. That's time for you as a buyer to go back to the home multiple times to make sure it's the right property. That's also a clear indication to you sellers out there that you need to be thinking, I don't want to be that statistic that goes past that average days on market. Don't become stale or aged inventory. So hopefully this market report sheds a little light on things. At this point in time, my personal opinion is there's a lot of uncertainty out there in the American buyer psychology. And these facts and figures that I put out here at the beginning of each month, while they may provide some solace and help you understand maybe some looking back information, I don't think we have a clear picture on what's happening going forward. And I think that projecting or predicting into 2023 is a bit of a fool's errand. There's so much going on with inflation and core indexes in terms of the inflation numbers there, what people pay for groceries. And right now it feels really uncertain for people to be taking a big leap on the biggest financial purchase of their life. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me, put a comment below. And as always, thank you so much for watching these. I put a lot of time and effort into these videos, and I hope that you find them useful. Whether you're working with me or another real estate agent, I just want these to be a benefit to you. Thanks for watching.